Hey everybody, Jeff Oriema here. Sarah Sanders, context engineer from PostHog, sat down with me for a conversation about agentic development, AI wizards, and more. Let's get right into it. Sarah, thank you for joining us. Why don't you give us a quick intro?
Cool. My name is Sarah Sanders. I'm based in Philly and I am a context engineer at PostHog. Before that, I was a technical writer at Docker and a bunch of other startups working on specifically developer education, and extensively on GraphQL as well. So, yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
100%. So, context engineering, that's a title that didn't exist a few years ago, as far as I know. So A, that's really exciting. And B, how do you define the work of a context engineer today? What should folks think about when they see that term context engineer?
Yeah, so the way we think about it at Post Hog, and I think the way that a lot of people are starting to think about it as this role is becoming more socialized, and I'm meeting more and more context engineers, is that it's a mix of technical content writing and also AI engineering. It's really important that we make technology explainable to humans and agents, but also that we facilitate the actual context pipelines that make agents work well. So this is actually engineering and orchestrating those context pipelines. And even at PostHog, we build and ship agents ourselves. So we have this like good marriage of writing and maintaining the context. So that's like a knowledge base for humans or a knowledge base for agents, and then building agents that use that knowledge.
What was the toughest part about like onboarding to that sort of mental model of this new model of engineering? Was there like something that was more surprising or tougher to grasp than others? Or conversely, were there things that were much more intuitive than expected?
I think the writing has always been intuitive for me. So really like writing for robots is not that different than writing for humans. Maybe a little less fun because, you can't build like cool React components for a robot that the robot like enjoys using. But
Well,
I
can I
think,
stop you there?
yeah, of
I'm really
course.
curious about that because yeah, like I think that point can be easy to miss because yeah, like robots like plain text, don't they? They like
Yes, they love
tokens,
plain
and
text. Yeah.
the React components around them might not be as it might be counterproductive. Can you expand
Yes.
on that a little bit?
Yeah, so a React component in a docs page, for example, for a human, they might see it and be like, wow, this is sparks joy, or visually it makes the information stand out on the page. Or if it's a React component that's like interactive, for example, maybe it helps them like facilitate learning that concept. But for a robot, they speak in plain text. So they like mark down, they like things to be formatted in a very structured way. They also sometimes we found that they like SQL. They like very easy to understand text and languages. So when we think of like writing for humans versus agents, we have to look at like how are we delivering those knowledge bases for both of those users. And I love to work on like front end stuff all day, but I know that agents don't get much use out of it.
It's just another form of front end, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious. The delivery mechanism seems to be where the leverage point is in this pipeline. I guess for the humans, it might be that interactive React component. But for the robots, so to speak, for an agent or a harness or whatever, yeah, there's a different set of tools there. Could you expand a little bit on what kinds of tools that folks should be considering when they're trying to do context engineering?
Yeah, I think the one that a lot of people are familiar with, and it was pushed for a while, is delivering pages on your websites and on your docs sites, for example, in plain Markdown. So if you have a, uh, HTML page versus a Markdown page, you're trying to point the agents or the harness at that Markdown page so that it can um, ingest that information in the Markdown format that it likes. But there's also people that are using MCP, so people that aren't even like going to the website, for example. How do they retrieve that as well? Um, we've thought about that. We've built context pipelines that deliver parts of our docs through the MCP, either by retrieving the docs site, individual docs pages, retrieving skills that we've created for people that are using MCP. Uh, so that's another thing. And then there's the agents that we're building that also rely on that same knowledge, but again, in a different format based off of like, what is that agent's use case? Where is it used at? Is it used in a desktop app? Is it used in the CLI? So yeah, we've had to explore delivering context in all of those environments, and it looks very different in all of those environments.
Yeah, that resonates. I've seen, some similar explorations in some different projects I've worked on, and ex ex explore seems like the operative word, right? Is
Yeah.
there like some sort of like clear winner is not the right word, but is there some sort of delivery mechanism that seems to be the most widely adopted, or the thing that developers are coalescing around? Is it that sort of MCP experience where they're plugging in their agent to that, or is it more of like a getting that map from their LLMs.txt or something like that? I'm curious if you've seen any trends that folks should be aware of.
Yeah, I think for us at PostHog specifically, the MCP has been a really good like delivery mechanism for context. Just because if we're all working on like one engineering team is working on context for their agent over here, we're working on context for another agent over here. If we're all delivering it through the MCP, then it doesn't matter how we're storing it or building it behind the scenes. It's all just going through the MCP. So it becomes that like unifier of that context and the easy way for us to plug it into the agents that we're building so that we can all share context and route it through the same path.
Very cool. You're working, as I understand it, on PostHog's AI wizard. Uh, I'm a simple man. I see wizard and my Lord of the Rings side gets so excited. What is an AI wizard?
Um, so the AI Wizard is an agentic CLI tool that we built at PostHog that will onboard you to PostHog through an agent experience. So the V1 of this, because it's very much in like a V2, almost V3 now, it's very evolved. The V1 of this was, can we get an agent to look at your code base, install the PostHog SDK for you, look at your business logic, identify what events might matter for you in terms of like product analytics, different events you'd want to track, instrument those events for you, and then create dashboards. So think of like the old days of having to manually like set up an SDK in your code base. You have to identify the events for yourself. It usually took about like 2 hours, and now you can do it through an agent, through the CLI, using NPX at PostHog Wizard, and it takes about 6 minutes. So it's pretty cool. If you haven't used it, I highly recommend it, even if it's just on like a throwaway project. It's just a very we like to say like 2030 shaped developer experience onboarding tool.
Well, I mean, that was going to be my next question, right? Will all apps have AI wizards like next year, or maybe we say a few years from now in 2030?
I hope so. Just because I mean, when I started working on it, I was like, I would love to onboard to like all the tools that I use this way. You know, it especially with like the technology that we have available to us now, uh, not leveraging that to make smoother onboarding experiences, to get people onto your platform faster so that they can get more value out of it. Just it seems like a miss if we don't start building more like wizard shaped things. We've actually started building capabilities on top of it that will audit your current implementation to see the quality of your implementation and suggest improvements. It will migrate you from other platforms if you're switching. We have like a bunch of different tools that we built on top of it. Our growth team built it we made it headless for them. They run it in the cloud now. And if you go through the regular onboarding on like app.posthog.com, you can give it permissions to your GitHub and it will open a PR for you like in the background. So it's just there's so many capabilities that we can build on top of this to like just deliver a smoother developer experience in terms of onboarding and optimizing and all of those uh, things that we all have to do as developers, but maybe we don't like the work behind them.
Yeah, well said. I mean, one of the things that I think is on every product thinking person's, not just product manager, right? Like any product-minded engineer, any product sensibility designers included. I think a lot of us are asking the question of, okay, where do I put this agentic experience? Is it kind of, as you put it, you said you designed it headless and it's being consumed by an internal team, right? And I
Mhm.
wonder if that headless experience to be consumed by like, whatever your Claude Code setup or your Goose setup or something like that.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain amount of, well, does it belong here where the user's at? Is it kind of behind the login in my application or web experience? Is it somewhere else entirely?
Yeah. So we always have the option that the user can use it in their agent. So if you actually go through the Wizard CLI tool, it will say, "Hey, this is an agentic experience. If you don't want to use our agent, we can leave you with the skill and that you can run it through your agent." So we always want to give the user the ability to run that experience wherever they feel comfortable doing that. So whether that's the CLI tool and they get to like watch the cool visualizers that we built and like the fun UI that we built, or it's just in the web app or in, their tool of choice. We want to give them that experience to be able to onboard in a streamlined way, no matter where they want to do it.
Cool. And that kind of skill file, I think going back to that delivery mechanism, right? The
Yeah.
agents love the plain text, they love the markdown.
Yes.
Um, but it's interesting because that's like going through like, okay, you can go ahead and put this in your agent of choice. I think that gives a lot of power to the user, and I'm curious to see how the broader ecosystem as more and more experiences like this are shipped in these kinds of developer facing products. I wonder what the consensus will be if there ever is one. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think even today, everybody's wondering, do I do a web app or a mobile app? And now with agents, it gives you this kind of new frontier.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've seen people ship whether it's very similar to our wizard or it's like a wizard shaped things. We're starting to see other people like try to adopt it. And it's very I like looking at those projects because I like looking at how they're architecting it compared to like how we architect it or how we built it, and learnings from both ends because we don't have the secret sauce. We're building things that we want to improve too. So I like seeing people ship that so that we can share learnings.
Show us something that's on your desk or maybe within arm's reach right now. Tell us about it.
So a little bit out of arm's reach is this lump on my reading chair here, and it is my cat Spicy. We have Spicy, Bean, and Doom, and it's Doom all caps, like MF Doom, the rapper. So
All
we
caps. Yeah, we got it. Yeah,
all caps
absolutely.
Doom. But we recently found a third cat. And I say found like literally outside, and he was just like the sweetest boy, and I was gonna bring him home, foster him, and then, that happened, and now he lives here. But they're working out their differences, so she will like lay under blankets like this and burrow during the day so that he doesn't bother her. Yeah.
Oh, well, a fun office mate, I'm sure, and
Oh yeah.
that's amazing.
I'm
Well,
surprised she hasn't come out. Normally, like if I'm on a Zoom call, she'll start like pacing back and forth, like right in front of the camera.
she
But
knows we're recording. It's like no cameras, no
yeah,
cameras.
no, no.
And that's it for now. I'm so appreciative of Sarah for sharing her insights with us. Stay tuned for part two of this interview, where we talk about GraphQL, modern development practices, and more. See you next time.